Hey everybody, how's it going? Jonathan North here, coming at you live from somewhere in Southeast Asia. And in this video I'm going to tell you guys some of the main differences between Pattaya and Da Nang, Vietnam. Recently spent a bunch of time in both these places, and yeah, I've noticed some differences, some similarities. I want to just do a comparison and overlay some footage that I took. So let's get right into it. So I'll probably say the biggest difference is the type of tourist. So different types of tourists have different interests, and they want different things. There's different cultures. So when you have different tourists, the things change a little bit, right? So in Da Nang, you have predominantly Korean and Chinese tourists. Right now, not so many Chinese people, but plenty of Koreans. And I just say predominantly. There's plenty of Australians and Westerners and Europeans there. There's plenty of that. But the overwhelming majority of tourists in Da Nang, well, at least foreign tourists, are Chinese and Korean. And then above and beyond that, there's plenty of Vietnamese tourists that come from all different parts to enjoy Da Nang's beaches. In Pattaya, you have, it's more majority Westerners, like Europeans, lots of pensioners, lots of people from England, Scotland, Ireland, many Russians, former Soviet Union countries. Also tons, right now, tons of Indians. Tons and tons. Like, it's almost the majority of the tourists that I see here are Indian. But that's not to say that there's not Koreans and Chinese. I see plenty of Koreans, no Chinese. But once they can leave the country, once they can leave China, I'm sure that they'll be back here. The tour buses will resume. Let's talk about the weather. So the weather in Pattaya, here in Thailand, it's a bit more overcast and breezy. In Vietnam and Da Nang, you'll have a couple of nice, breezy, and overcast days. 100% you have that. But here, it seems like a lot of the days have really nice breezes, frequent rain showers, at least in July, now in July, yeah, and lots of breeze all the time. So that's very nice. In Vietnam in July, the heat is tough. Okay, and you have mountains to the west, so that really blocks out a lot of the wind. You really have to kind of like get lucky and get a breeze off the ocean, right? Because it's definitely not coming in from the west. I was sitting on the beach last night in Jomtien, and it was 100%, like, felt like room temperature in July, which is nice. And I never had a moment like that in the last couple of months in Da Nang, or Saigon even. So let's talk about the food. Da Nang has tons of high quality Western options. Like the pizza, I had like badass New York style pizza there. I had great Indian food. I had some pretty decent Thai food there too. So they have all those Western options, and there was also tons of good Vietnamese food too. There's plenty of markets with tons of different seafood. It's great. But just keep in mind that Vietnam's a bit more of a homogenous society than most places. So a lot of their food is, like, relatively speaking, fewer options, but those options are fantastic. I had something called Ban Sao Ko Mui, and I'll put a video of this here if I can find it, at this place called Ban Sao Ko Mui. It was really good. I've not had an experience like that here in Thailand, but at the markets here in Thailand, and there's markets everywhere in Pattaya, like night markets, there's just so many different types of, like, unique, creative, different types of food. It's such a creative place. Like, I don't know, it's like the food here is seriously an art form. It's amazing. The food scene here, it's like you could eat something different every night for the rest of your life here. Like, that I guarantee. And something like unique and tasty and different here in Pattaya. The nightlife. there was decent nightlife in Da Nang, but Pattaya is like number one nightlife, and feels like in most of Asia. So it's hard to compare those two. If you're coming to a country for nightlife, Pattaya has like everything. It's got it all. It's just box checked. In Vietnam, you have to search for a place you like. Nightlife might be, drinking on the side of the road in front of a store, on a small stool. If that's what you like, there's nothing wrong with it. And like having stuff delivered, that's fantastic. Here you have like all types of clubs. There's expats everywhere. It almost makes me nervous because there's so much nightlife. You can just get lost in it. And it's fun. There's people here though to shoot the S and have fun. But yeah, I didn't find tons of like Western style bars in Da Nang. But it's not to say that there's not great nightlife there. There is. There used to be lots of really good nightlife along the Han River back before 2019, and it's slowly reopening on the west side of the Han River. That is. Massage prices. So here in Thailand, the massage parlors are one track. It's like that's most of them. It's like maybe they'll clip nails. Maybe you'll get a facial, whatever. But the massage parlors in Da Nang were like a one-stop shop of getting your ears clean, getting your scalp washed, getting a facial, getting a head massage, shoulder, back, foot massage. Like it was everything. It was a place where you check. Like you would get handed a piece of paper, and they would say, "You want this?" You would just like check off the card, and it's a really good price if you do it that way. Here, there's massage places, and you'll have the masseurs sitting outside, trying to get customers in. But that's all they do is massage, like very, very little else. But the thing is, the prices are staggeringly different. So a foot massage in Da Nang, I was paying in Saigon, I paid $170 for a foot massage, which is like, what is that? It's like $7 or something. Just off the top of my head, that could be totally wrong. And then in Da Nang, I paid $200 to $220 for a foot massage, and 220,000 VND
Go live now.
is $9.41. Last night I got the best foot massage I've had in years, and that was 200 Thai baht. So that's $5.50. So it's like it was fantastic. It was like I want to go get a couple of those per day. So yeah, it's hard to compare. If you're just into massages, I would say Thailand kind of takes the W on that. But if you want the full service, spa experience, I think Vietnam has that. Does that very well. Making me miss Vietnam a little bit because my nails are getting long. I got to get them clipped. Scooter driving. It was a little strange adjusting to driving on the left side, and I was a bit timid to do that at first, but it legitimately took 15 minutes to get used to it for me. And the traffic, you can just go slow. It's not like there's no shortage of people wandering around the road in any high scooter usage country. So you can always go slow, and that's what I recommend. If you're driving a scooter for the first time around here, just take it easy. Just go slow until you get until you get used to it driving on the left-hand side. Seems like the cars are pretty cautious here, but in Vietnam the cars were more cautious. The cars in Vietnam went over the top on caution in Da Nang. Like they're driving real slow because there's so many. It's a condensed city in a lot of the parts. So and there's no like street lights. It's just kind of go at your own risk. So they don't honk as much here. Really, they don't honk at all. I feel like kind of weird using my horn here. But in Vietnam, you might get people like blasting down the road, beep 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 beep, and you're just like, oh, okay, watch out, that person's going, and he would never have a problem. So yeah, I would say, just take it slow if you're riding for the first time on the left-hand side. And also, it was like more organized chaos in Vietnam. Like the driving was chaotic, but made sense. Like it's doable chaos. Like there were rules, but not really. Daytime entertainment. Yeah, here you had tons of stuff to do. Like in Da Nang, there was like an island off the coast, and you could go there, and there were boats that went there. But here there's like a bunch of islands, and there's a bunch of like slow boats. There's a bunch of things you can do. You could take a boat to Bangkok if you. Could you take a boat to Bangkok? Somebody said you could. I don't know what it was, so I don't want to say that wrong. If you wanted to. There's like motor scooters, there's malls. There's really only one big mall in Da Nang. It's called Vincom. I guess just Da Nang is just a bit of a smaller city, and there's a lot of stuff close around here too. But if you like nature, that's kind of where I think Vietnam wins. In my opinion, I mean, it might be different from other people, but there's tons of nature in Vietnam. Like you could go to Sun Tra, that mountain island. You could go to Hue or Hoi An. There's tons of beautiful things to do, but it's just a little bit more spread out, and it's hot. That's another thing is that you're going to be riding in the heat if you do that. But once you get to those places, it's absolute beauty. You have that here in Pattaya. But here you have like a lot of Western fun. You know, what we consider fun in the West of like, you know, riding scooters, like going to the drag strip. Like that sort of stuff is kind of cool. Just different. Neither is better than the other. Beaches. So the beaches are just different, again. Here you're on a bay. You know, you're in the Gulf of Thailand. It's not a bay, it's a gulf. And in Da Nang, you're right on the ocean. So you get like those beautiful long, you know, you get the strips of beaches in Da Nang, and then you look out and there's a mountain up, and it is a sight. Here you're on the ocean, you know, and there's boats, or you're in the bay. There's boats in the bay, and there's beautiful breezes coming off of it. The water is okay. I'm going to leave it at that. In Da Nang, the water is crystal clear and amazing. And there's plenty of places you can swim here in Pattaya. You just have to go to the right beach. Every beach is different. Some of the beaches, like, you really have to be a beach connoisseur to do a good comparison. Because, like, in Da Nang, the beaches are big. You know, like, you're from the road into the ocean water, it's like 100+ yards. Like, you have all this space and it's flat, and sometimes the water comes out, creates pools, and it's really like chill, you know. The beaches are like that as well here, but some of the beaches, like Pattaya Beach and Jomtien, it's a bit narrow, but there were like some nice waves. It's more like a place to hang out and like do beach plus enjoy the tourist sites along the beach, of like the coffee shops and stuff like that. And there's tons and tons of those. So neither's better, just different. They have their pluses and minuses. Just depends what you want. If you want like that flat, Florida smooth beach, I would say that Da Nang is more the speed. But if you want like a beach that's literally part of the freaking city, you know, where you could go from insanely awesome Central Festival shopping mall with like 7 stories, air conditioning, and all you want, to ocean in like seconds. So that's kind of. That actually leads me into the next topic of shopping. So spending money is something you have to think about. In Vietnam, the cheap stuff is cheaper. Okay? The cheap stuff is cheaper, and the expensive stuff is more expensive. In Thailand, the expensive stuff seems to be less expensive, but the cheaper stuff is more expensive. Neither's different, neither's better. It's just like Vietnam, I think, is set up to be very affordable for all people. I guess it is here too, but you have to keep in mind there's many wealthy Thai people that spend big money, and there's Western tourists that come here. So yeah, in Thailand, The expensive stuff is cheaper and the cheaper stuff's more expensive. In Vietnam, the cheaper stuff is cheaper and the expensive stuff's more expensive. That's the best way I can describe shopping. Expat scene. No question about it, man. The Pattaya is made for tourism. Like, it's the whole reason it was set up. It's for tourism. The expat scene is second to none. Like, you go to some places and 80% of the people you see walking around like the street, like in public, are expats or, you know, Western tourists. Safety. You know, I've talked about safety before. Vietnam seems like probably one of the safest countries I've ever been to in my whole life. Absolutely safe. Like, I could leave my camera like on the side of the road and then it might be there the next day. Maybe. Not many places you can say that about in the whole world. Here, also safe. Here, I'm not worried about any violence whatsoever. Just the traffic, if my memory serves me, from the time I've spent in the north. But other than that, driving is the most dangerous thing anybody will do anywhere. So keep that in mind. And that's it, man. That's kind of like 10 or 11 differences between Pattaya and Da Nang. I hope that helps. If you got anything out of this video, you made it to the end, please hit the like button. This video is more for me, though, kind of recounting my journeys. And maybe I'll look back at it in a couple years and see how my thoughts have changed about these places. Actually, that's what I kind of hope to get out of it. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.